let's just clarify a few things with a few players. George Baldock, the reports of the weekend were that might be it for the season. Is there a potential that he could play again?
6 weeks we've been told regarding George's calf injury, so he's a player that's obviously had a few issues. Well, since I've come back in and over the period, so difficult one because how highly we feel and think about George from a personality point of view, characteristics, culture, carrier, and an all-round good player. So to miss him, got injured on international duty, which is it's obviously a difficult one for us to take as well. So yeah, it's for disappointing news for both George and ourselves.
I know clearly you won't give it up if there's a chance he can play again, but if that is his last game this season, is he one of the players that you would love to bring back next year if possible? Yeah,
well, he's one of the players that we've obviously got a lot of thinking and talking to do, and he'll have options as well. With him being out of contract, there'll be a part of it that will be looked at this situation from a club point of view, and part of it will be looked from George's point of view. What's his best move? But certainly, he's a player we've really enjoyed working with in our time here, and hopefully we'll have that opportunity to work with him again.
Cameron Archer and Tom Davies, what's the likelihood of seeing them again over the next few weeks?
Cam, definitely. Tom, similar situation to George. We feel that he'll be back before the end of the season, but another one that's really suffered this year from an injury point of view. Player signed with undoubted ability and Premier League experience, and one yet again that we've missed right the way through in our return to Premier League action.
Is Arblaster okay? I know you said he'd had a few kicks and whatnot on the field, which is why
he's had zero sympathy, obviously, from myself. But no, delighted with his performance, and an explanation that he just couldn't move, and he's. And I think as well, and I imagine a majority of people will understand this from an emotional point of view. An incredible, couple of weeks for him, making his debut for his boyhood club, away on international duty. Yeah, I'm not happy about it. I've got to say, 100%, I'm not happy that he played the full whack. I think there was a situation there that could have been managed better, because we explained that he would be playing in his own debut at Bramall Lane. So yeah, I'm not too happy about it from our point of view, because that's an enormous amount of football in 3 days, and a lot of travelling as well. So he took a whack just before he come off, but again, can be absolutely delighted with his own debut and his contribution to the team again.
Vinicius okay? He had cramp. Is he going to be okay?
Hope so. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, as we talked about the condition of the players. We have to have robust players, durable players. The availability has to be key going forward, and we've got to get them in a shape where they're going strong towards the end of the game. We don't want to make physical substitutions, and yet again, there's a couple there that we had to make.
There was criticism from supporters around the substitutions after the game. Clearly they hadn't heard what you'd said afterwards in terms of that. Is there anything you could have done differently? Are you frustrated by that kind of vibe coming out of the game?
Yeah, a little bit, because both of the goals wasn't down to were great finishes. You've got to say. I think Ollie will obviously think he could do a little bit better with that, but Ollie could move. Blaster couldn't. He couldn't move. So do we keep him on the pitch and put at risk a young player to open it up to injury? These not from when I say within physical substitutions. That is, I'm not passing the buck on this. This is from a conditioning point of view, and open it up to injury. So I'll tell you what, I'll play him till 95. Well, it weren't 95. It was 115 minutes. He pulls his hamstring. He pulls his groin. He pulls his calf. He pulls his thigh, and he's out for 6 weeks. Let's do that. That's sensible, isn't it? And with Vinay, exactly the same.
No, it's not sensible from that perspective. Have you had any clarity on why the fourth goal was disallowed?
No. there's been mixed reactions to that. A lot of people I spoke to in the days afterwards have said, what was that all about? I've looked at it. It was just incredibly tight, and first phase, second phase, and all stuff like that. By the letter of the law, people say that he's interfering with play and he's in an offside position and he pops back onto an onside position. I think it's just incredibly unfortunate from our point of view, because that certainly does kill the game. And I think that was a incredibly key moment, because 4-1, we're in a great position, and I thought our second half performance deserved that. And I just think the timing of the goal really sort of gave them a huge lift. And I keep saying to people, with the introduction of Traore, Jimenez, Bobby De Cordova, Reed, Kenny Tete, and Tom Kearney, but this is, I'm stating facts. I'm stating the obvious, but this is what we're up against. Marco Silva's not making physical substitutions. He's making substitutions to get back in the game and then go and win the game. I'd absolutely love to be in that position. I'd love to be in the position of bringing Ryan Brewster on, Cameron Archer on, Tom Davies on, keeping Vinny on because physically he's okay, Blaster's up to speed so he stays on the pitch, because, I'm not like, I don't want to, it's not about me, or, I'll look clever, or we'll look clever as a coaching staff, and that was good, that was a great tactical move, or whatever. Sometimes best staying with what you've got. But when you can't move, because you couldn't move, two of the midfield players, central midfield players couldn't move, and we knew that there was still, Graham Scott, the fourth official, told us that, that was after 80 minutes, there's going to be an unbelievable amount of injury time coming. And I went, what? He went 10 plus. So we knew at that period that there was another 10, 20 minutes minimum of football to play. And we've got to look, and speaking to the medical guys and the conditioners and going, can these boys see that out? And then you look and you bring in Traore on and all those players. So I'd be love to be in Marco's position. Hopefully we will be, in terms of when we get it right, because I get it right in the pre-season. We'll have a really strong pre-season. Hopefully we get the players in when we need to get them in, from a coaching point of view, and most importantly from a conditioning point of view, because it's really not been something that I've been really associated with, in my period here and at other clubs, is that we're having to do this.
I mean, this all of that kind of brings into question the kind of clear and obvious element of VAR, because if they don't spend 3 or 4 minutes looking at the third goal with the melee on the line and then other incidents, then there's not 14 minutes, and then you're not necessarily having to do that.
I know.
So do you want to see things like limited time on the VAR checks and things like that? How could it be improved so this kind of situation wouldn't happen again?
There's better educated people than me that are running this situation, running the show at the moment. Maybe not better experienced than myself and a few of the other guys who are on the same opinion. It's just become all too messy. They've looked at they've looked at the third goal because they believe that Leno had booted Barrett and Diaz in the face. So that was the reason that they looked, and obviously that the time that was taken on that. So I suppose when you're talking about that, you want the right decision to be made. But yet again, we go back to it. Why was it brought in for the hand of God in '86, where a lot, the most important actors missed it? And obviously that's, for me, that was why it was always there, and it has become incredibly messy. And the reaction of the supporters is completely understandable. And it isn't just the reaction of the supporters at Bramall Lane; it's the reaction of the supporters who are the main stakeholders of the game. By the way, there's players, there's managers, there's owners, there's chief execs. There's the referees, the main stakeholders in the game are the supporters. And I've got to say, are they particularly happy up and down the country of what happens? And would they have been happy if their team had to go and play 115 minutes on a Saturday afternoon? I'm sure the reaction what was given to everybody at the end of the game would have been exactly the same up and down the country.
I wanted to ask about the outcome and the impact of your captaincy switch at the weekend. It seemed to benefit both players in terms of Anel and Jack Robinson. Is that the way that you viewed it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you try things at the start to get a little bit more out of Anel, to take that responsibility and experience as a senior player. And then you're always assessing. So we assessed it through this little mini break, and what can we do? What are wins that we feel would be better for both player and club, and certainly Robbo was always going to be the natural choice, and he's a natural leader. Regarding if he's a captain or he's not a captain, I think you've seen that in his performances all season, and while he's been for his great signing, one that. It was a people talk about the signings that we made, the signings of like Robinson and Osborne, and possibly more so when Jack O'Connell got injured and and Jack Robinson came to the fore and came through. He's been outstanding for the football club. So, but more importantly for Nel to take a little bit off of his shoulders. Sometimes they grow with it. Sometimes he just might have needed to. I've had that focus really on himself and on maybe the 2 or 3 players around him, because I think sometimes maybe you feel I'm captain, I've got to organise everything, I've got to be instrumental in everything that goes on. We just wanted him to be the best version of himself, and first half he did a job for us, and I look back at really disappointing first goal from our point of view. The 3 of them have got caught up in a tangle and allowed Paulinho to get a free header. So we've walked through that, and we've talked through that. And you look at it in the second and third goals, the fabulous finishes. Whatever you say, whether people want to blame the substitutions, whether they want to blame an individual player, they're still incredible finishes, and ones where we never felt it was coming. We never felt that we have to make a change. I think sometimes when you're a manager or a coach, you feel in the game you're proactive. Always been proactive from the substitutions. You feel we have to. I'd rather be proactive and back our judgment than let it happen. Even though sometimes you need just to let it go. So it's a fine balance. But the 2 finishes that we got done by were brilliant finishes, and unfortunately we don't get out of the game what I believe we truly deserved.
It's been reported locally that Jamie Hoyland heading back to the club as part of the recruitment team. If that's accurate, is that a good?
Yeah, we've been speaking to a number of people. We've gone through an extensive process, so hopefully the club will have news and make an official statement regarding the that recruitment department. I think one thing that you'll understand and you'll know is that we are heavily. I am heavily involved in that with the chief exec and the owner, and I think it's something that has been talked about at length by supporters. People I meet in the street and bump into. His culture, his personality, is what they know about the football club, and I think you'll see with the appointments, we've got people that will understand the culture, understand what we're after, understand what a Sheffield United player is, and understand that this is what, for me, drives us forward into the future, and don't pigeonhole in it and think well, he has to come from Manatop and he has to support Sheffield United and he's got about 5 Sheffield United tattoos on him, and so that's a perfect Sheffield United player. It hasn't been, as I said before, in our greatest player being from London. So it doesn't have to be that way, but there has to be certain characteristics that have to be identified, and the people that will identify them and help us in that recruitment will understand the pathway that we want to go down.
If it is Jamie or someone like that, I appreciate you're looking not to confirm that, but somebody that you've got an existing relationship with, somebody that understands the football club, are those important attributes?
Well, first and foremost, they've got to understand where we are and what markets that we're looking at and looking to go and get players from. What makes what from a profile point of view, the players that we're after, that fit into what we're after. From a physical point of view, from a technical point of view, from a tactical point of view, most importantly from a mentality point of view and a personality point of view. They have to know, and they have to work with coaches and managers, because it's no good, them going and looking for players and identifying a player if we feel that we can't work with them, the coaches can't work with them, and the manager can't work with them. So there's a lot of moving parts in that, but one that we'll work closely with, and I'm sure we'll have a positive outcome to that. A lot of great work gone off, as I said, regarding what Paul Mitchell did. I've gone on record before, and I will do. Of course, there's some big signings in there as well, and you don't get everyone right, but the majority of them, and Paul was instrumental in the front of that, and hopefully we can carry on that recruitment and the manner of it.
Looking ahead to Thursday, how on earth do you stop Liverpool?
Yeah, big question, good question. Not a lot of teams can do it, so we've got to be the best that we are, and we've got to be resolute, and we've got to defend well. We've got to have good distances between back to front. We have to be aggressive and competitive, and we can't just give them the ball back straight away, because if we do, then they can punish any team. So we've got to be brave in and out of possession. We've got to have a structure to stop them or give them problems. We understand we're going to have a big night, a huge night for us to get a big result, and we need a big performance from everybody. But my message is to the players. You're playing at Anfield at the end of the season. They're going for the title in front of 60-odd thousand, as it is now, of a cathedral of a ground that's known worldwide throughout everybody that knows the football and loves the football and knows what Liverpool's all about. So go and rise to the occasion, go and show what you can do, and go and show what we can do as a team, and make it as difficult as possible. But we understand that we're going to be under pressure. We understand that we're going to have the majority of possession, but we're going to have to produce a really top performance. And if we produce a top performance, then who knows what happens? The game ain't done and dusted before. But we have to produce that type of performance, and if we do, then the result will be what it will be. But that's what we're looking for—a really big performance from the boys.
You take something from the home game. You clearly ran them close. It was your first game back, so I imagine there was a whole myriad of emotions with yourself at the time.
Yeah. There was. Ultimately, we got defeated, but I thought it was a close game. Same again. They had a lot of possession. They had a few chances, which they're going to have. They have against the top sides. They do that. So, but we were competitive on the night. We were good. We were together. That's what the blueprint of a performance that I'm looking for when you play the top sides, and especially at home. That's what we were after, and that's what I suppose disappointed me in the three league games where we got well and truly put on the back foot and well and truly beat. So we can produce that type of performance, and we're going to have to produce that type of performance if we want to get something from the game.
Finally, from me, a word on Jurgen. It'll probably be the last time you come up against him as Liverpool boss. You've come up against him a few times over the years. An incredible impact and record at Liverpool and his time in the Premier League. What can you say about him?
Yeah, his record speaks for itself. An historic club that was sort of in and out of winning trophies. Won a couple of cups and whatever, this, that, and the other. And obviously, previously, the history of the football club from Shankly through to Paisley and on to Dalglish was repetitive, as it was then, Division 1 titles, and obviously, for them now to be season in, season out competing in the top division and winning what they're winning, and just the whole feel of the football club, and what he's done in terms of in the community and working in the area. I know the area really well. My dad's a Scouser, and I spent many a summer holiday about 10 minutes from Anfield, so I know how they love the football, and he's definitely one of their own, and his impact on that football club has been absolutely incredible, and he'll be he'll be fighting for everything that's going between now and the end of the season, and definitely want to finish on a high. And they're in a great position on a lot of fronts.
Good luck, Chris. Tom.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Anil said this morning that you've got 11 leaders on the pitch and everyone chips in and steps up when they need to. How important is it to have those players, like you mentioned with the captaincy, who are ready to step up when you call on them?
Yeah, they need to. It's a 3-game week as well, so we'll make a couple of changes as well, as we talked about in length. As I just spoke to Adam about there. I don't expect the bulk of them players to go through into the 3 games, and it's the ultimate test when you go to Anfield of every aspect of the game, and physically the heavy metal football, the press, the counter press. They're into you, they're after you, they win more first and second balls than any team. The way they play front-footed football, it's brilliant to watch. I should imagine from a neutral and a Liverpool supporter's point of view, what the manager's done for the club, and how they play more than anything is I suppose one of the biggest attributes and qualities that they've got. How exciting it is! So when you go there, you're on the back foot from the off, and so you get tested in every aspect of the game, and will be tested more from a mentality point of view than anything. So we have to be strong in every department.
As we mentioned, the first game that you had back in charge was here against Liverpool. Where are you in comparison to where you'd want to be at this stage when you took over?
Yeah, I think that we were definitely. Listen, we've been inconsistent on loads of things. We've been inconsistent from a selection point of view, from a performance point of view. There's been some good performances there. There's been not so good performances there. There's been games where we look like we can keep a clean sheet, and there's games where we've been 3 or 4-0 down after half an hour, which certainly isn't good enough. I imagine inconsistent performances from the team stroke players as well. So we would have liked to have that little bit more consistency in our performances. I think that we're light on points. I think certainly when you look back, there's certain points that really we should have sealed and had more points on the board. But I suppose that's all part and parcel of the process, and the process that I've just talked about, the inconsistency in selection, the inconsistency in a lot of things that have at times give us hope, and then at times really have been hammer blow to us. So as all managers and coaches are, they're looking for that consistency. They're looking for what I think the biggest thing I would say is at the moment it's a little bit difficult to know what the team is going to produce, and I think that all managers and coaches are most at comfort, most at ease, where they know what type of performance they're going to get out of their team. 8 or 9 times out of 10, and at the moment we're just struggling to find that.
Someone who has been consistent though when they've been on the pitch, Ben Brereton Diaz, 5 goal involvements in 5 appearances. How important is he going to be in the run-in?
Yeah, he is another one that we lost for a big period, which has hurt us as well. So he would have certainly added to the group through that period. We brought him into play. We brought him in to be involved, and I've got to say, very high output, low maintenance player, which is from my point of view, is fabulous. He just gets on with his job. You ask him to play here, you ask him to play there, you ask him to do this or that, he just does it. And he's been brought in to assist and score, and he's certainly done that. And certainly, one of the players that the supporters have incredibly took to in a short period of time.